Aloha, ladies and gentlemen. On today's Strength for Life podcast, my co-host Andrew and we interview Lev Usita. Lev is a member of NorthStone Baptist Church here in Pensacola, but he's from the Philippines, and interestingly, he grew up in Hawaii. He served in the United States Navy, and he currently serves as a military police officer. He and his wife, Charity, they have 3 very precious and adorable children. In this podcast today, Lev explains how his faith in Christ has guided him throughout his life and how it's aided him in his police work. This is a super fun interview. I know you're going to enjoy this. So with that said, I encourage you to stay with this interview to the very end so that you can receive the maximum amount of strength for your life.
Welcome to the Strength for Life podcast with Pastor James C. Johnson, a ministry of NorthStone Baptist Church in Pensacola, Florida.
Lev Usita, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today.
It's a pleasure to be here, sir.
Yes. So you born in the Philippines, but raised in Hawaii.
Yes, sir.
So my first question is, have you been to Pounders here in Pensacola, the Hawaiian grill place?
Not the one in Pensacola. I've been to the one in Crestview and Niceville.
Okay. So they have 3.
They have 3.
I didn't know about the one in Niceville.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on those?
Yeah, it's all right. It's not. There's a new restaurant down the road from church. It's called Hula Hawaiian. It's
Yes, we went there, didn't we?
We did. Yeah, you and I did.
It's kind of like a Hawaiian restaurant chain in Hawaii. It's called L&L. There's one in Jacksonville, Savannah.
Okay.
So it's close by, but it's a 5-hour drive.
Oh.
But it's one of those. It's more authentic than Pounders. I'm sorry, Pounders.
Okay.
You know,
He
it's
just
like,
crushed all of his dreams.
oh no! I guess the owner from Pounders, he's not from Hawaii. I think his family members, his
Right.
grandparents were
Yeah.
from Hawaii. I think he was from Salt Lake City, Utah, or something like
Okay.
that. But it's like, I mean, the food's good. Don't get me wrong.
It's
but
good, yeah.
Yeah.
But the only
Hula
thing
Hawaii
they do,
down the street is a lot.
is that more authentic?
Yes, a lot
okay.
more
That's
authentic.
good to know. Good to know. The only thing they do at Pounders, I think that they're attempting to be Hawaiian, is they have a little bit of pineapple flavoring.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Otherwise,
it's
it's just-
pineapple. I mean, I don't know why Hawaiian pizza is pineapple, but they don't.
Yeah, right.
It's pineapple.
Right.
So you're from Hawaii. Can you surf?
Actually, I do not. I do not surf. I boogie boarded. Growing up, in reality, I was afraid of the water.
Okay.
Jaws was the movie that came out, and there's the scene where Jaws comes up to the shore and starts eating people. So as a kid, I was always afraid to swim. So I would like walk in the water till at least my water's up to here, and that's as far as I would go.
Okay.
So on a boogie board, you're holding on to the boogie board. So if you get pounded in front of the wave, you just pull the cord and it'll bring you back up. On a surfboard, it's different. I mean, sometimes you're strapped to the board, so if you fall, I was just scared of surfing. My brother surfs, but I boogie boarded growing up. But
Okay,
it's
that's still cool,
one of
though.
those- yeah, it's not as cool as surfing, but
All right.
I did it once and I was like, oh, couldn't do it.
Yeah, there's a couple guys in the church that surf pretty regularly, and they've talked to me about teaching me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if I can handle
They
all
said
that.
it's like skateboarding on water, but
I'm not good at skateboarding on land, so I don't know how that would
Oh,
translate.
well, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you are a law enforcement officer.
I am.
How long have you been in law enforcement, and how did you get into law enforcement?
So I started law enforcement in 2017. I got out of the Navy 2010 and moved back home to Hawaii. I needed a job, so a lady of mine that I went to church with, she worked at the national park, and she said, "Oh, they're hiring veterans." So I did security for the national park for 2 years, and then one of the law enforcement guys was like, "Hey, if you want to move up in the government system, you should go law enforcement." I've always wanted to do law enforcement since I went to Iraq and Afghanistan, and I had friends that were law enforcement, so I was like, "Why not? I'll do it." So I went to school in Santa Rosa, California for seasonal law enforcement for the national park. I picked up law enforcement. I was there for a year, then got engaged to Charity December of 27. So I did law enforcement in Hawaii till 2018, until I moved here and we got married. 2020, I got picked up for law enforcement out at Whiting Field in Milton. And so I've been doing law enforcement for 4 years now.
Okay.
No, 5 years, including National Park.
Okay.
So
Now, I mentioned already you were born in the Philippines, but you were raised in Hawaii. So you shared before the pod got started, but would you share how you ended up in Hawaii?
So my dad was a pastor in the Philippines, and there's a group of Southern Baptist preachers in Oahu that went to the Philippines to get my dad to be a pastor to the Filipinos on the island. They had
So he's like a missionary to Hawaii.
missionary to Hawaii from
That's
Philippines,
awesome.
yes.
Yeah.
And so we left when I was 2, and my dad was a pastor for over 36 years till he retired 2013.
So you're a PK.
I'm a PK,
Yeah,
MK if you want to say.
MK,
Preacher's kid,
yeah,
missionary
right.
kid, you know.
I have a special affection for PKs since I have 3 of them.
All right.
Do I? As do I.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. So what was life like growing up in Hawaii then,
Oh.
as a PK or an MK?
I mean, life in Hawaii was beautiful. I mean, everything is laid back it's a tropical island, so everything is laid back. When they say the island life, the island feel, like I'll get there when I get there, that's really true. You say the
yeah.
party's at 2:00, people will show up at 3:30, 4:00, and
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. I wondered because I know that you're talking about Hawaii time, but Filipino time is a thing too, just like
Yes,
that. Like
Filipino-
that's what the Baseras say
Yes,
to me. Is
it's
that
the
they
same
always have
thing.
Filipino time?
It's the same thing. So, but it was I mean, like, that's home. It will always be home, regardless if I live here or move somewhere else. We'll always go home to Hawaii. I still have family there. My dad and mom are actually there right now.
Okay, cool.
My dad he was diagnosed with what was it? Kidney failure. I'm sorry. So after he retired from being a preacher in Hawaii, he went to the Philippines to plant churches in his hometown up north. And so, but he had kidney failure, so he had to come back to Hawaii and do his kidney treatments, and he was on the process of getting a new kidney. He wants to go back. I mean, he desires to be in the Philippines planting churches, but right now he's in Hawaii.
Okay.
And so till he gets a kidney, I guess, and then he'll go back,
Okay. Yeah.
But
Yeah, so I think when you go to the Philippines, if Americans fly into the Philippines, is it Davao City where you fly?
no, we fly Manila.
Manila, that's right. Okay, yes. I've been to the Philippines just once.
All right.
And I went with the Baseras, and
Okay.
Dr. Paul Chappell was hosting a conference
Okay.
out there, Spiritual Leadership Conference Asia. So,
All right.
yeah. So where in the Philippines were you born? Like in the islands or in
So I was
Manila?
born in Manila,
Okay.
like a little town in the outskirts of Manila. My dad is from up north, but I was only there for 2 years.
Uh-huh.
I think the total I've been home like maybe five times.
Okay.
Last time I went back to the Philippines was 2010.
Uh-huh.
But other than that, I haven't been back.
So do you still remember some Tagalog?
I know enough to save my life.
Okay.
Like if somebody asks me a question, if they talk to me in Tagalog, then it'll come out. But like, ask me right now to say something, it's kind of like I gotta like think back when I was in school and I was learning it. But you can say things like, at least to be polite, you say good morning, you say magandang umaga.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
You say I would be always respectful, you say thank you, salamat, and things like that. But
and that was your free Tagalog lesson with Lev Usita
on the Strength for Life pod.
Yeah,
there you go.
It was free, didn't you have to pay?
Right, yeah. I have tons of respect for bilingual people, people that understand several, not just 2, but maybe more languages. And I think a lot of people from the Philippines understand several dialects.
They do. Spanish.
Yeah.
I mean, history, the Spaniards came to the Philippines and they conquered the Philippines. So a lot of our culture, a lot of the language, like the Tagalog language, is similar to the Spanish. So just hearing people talking Spanish, you can pick up words. There's some words you don't know, but taking Spanish classes in high school, you know what the word is, so you can kind of understand what they're saying. But
so verbal communication is one way we communicate, but another way is through like hand gestures. And the back of the Pounders T-shirts, they do a Hawaiian.
they have the Hawaiian.
So stuff like this. So what does that mean? Tell me what that.
In reality, so the story behind it was they call it shaka. There was we have this Hawaiian history book in Hawaii. I guess there was a man that he worked in the pineapple fields. Before they had the machines, they would pick it by hand and they would cut it. And I think the story goes where he lost three of his fingers got cut. So when he would say hi, he only had 3 fingers, so he would say hi like this.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true or not, but I think that's what the book said. So just growing up, it's like everybody said hi this way. So on the back of my car, I've got this aloha sign.
Oh, do you?
My kids will do it. They'll be like, "Daddy, look, Daddy, aloha, shaka, shaka."
So there are a thing called pineapple fields?
There are the pineapple fields.
I want to see this. Growing up in Indiana, we had cornfields. You know?
Right.
But I'm not familiar with pineapple
Oh yeah,
fields.
a friend of mine from college, he came to visit me, and he was like, "What are those?" I'm like, what kind of trees are those? Oh, those are pineapple. He goes, "No, they're not." He pulled over to the side of the road. He just picked a pineapple. I mean, he kind of stole it, but he didn't believe me. He just picked a pineapple off the ground, and we took off.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is super cool. What about? I heard you like Spam.
Oh man,
Tell us about your interest. How did you fall in love with Spam?
Spam is Hawaiian national meat. I mean, Spam is everywhere. Like, you know how McDonald's, you can get pancakes and eggs and sausage for breakfast. In Hawaii, you can get Spam, eggs, and rice.
Oh,
You know, Spam, we have this thing in Hawaii called Spam musubi. It's like a Spam sushi. It's about that big, and it's got Spam on top over rice wrapped in seaweed wrapper. I mean, we ate that all the time.
Okay.
I mean, you could get it at the gas station, 7-Eleven. I know they don't do it here, but in Hawaii, they have these ice cream trucks that drive around the neighborhood, and they were owned by Chinese, so they would have like their Chinese food, but they also had little Spam musubis in the van. So you're driving around, you hear it, and you're like, "Oh, we'll go outside, we'll get one, and we'll eat it."
Spam on the ice cream truck.
Yeah, it was one of those things we just ate growing up.
Yeah.
I was talking to Charity about it. It's like grits. You just eat it, you know, because you've been eating it,
Yeah.
you know, growing up, and it's like you can fry it, you can boil it, deep fry it.
Do your kids like Spam?
Oh, they do. They do.
Okay, cool.
It's bad for them.
You're raising them right.
Oh,
You're raising-
it's so bad for them, but my kids love it. They're like,
Yeah.
"Daddy, I want some Spam." I look at Charity, and she's like,
Oh, okay,
you don't have any," but we always have a can of Spam at home,
All right.
always. So it's
Well, if you turned out fine. You were raised on it, so
yeah.
they'll be fine. Yeah, right. Brother, would you tell us some of the differences between like a military police officer as you are versus like city or county officers? What are
Right,
some things you deal with?
so military law enforcement. Our jurisdiction is on the base that we're assigned to. Like my jurisdiction only applies to NS Whiting Field where I work. Now, if I go to NS Pensacola, I have no jurisdiction there. It's just the way it is. We only respond to the calls on our base. We have outlying fields where they fly. We go over and we check, make sure that everything's okay. But in transit from our base to the outlying field, I have no jurisdiction whatsoever. So even though I'm in a police vehicle, I can't pull over, and I won't pull people over. If something happened, I could stop and I can call dispatch and be like, "Hey, can you call local dispatch to come out?" But as far as law enforcement, we don't do anything out of the base. And so we're basically confined to protecting the base, and pretty much it's physical security, protection of the people and the assets that we have on our base. But that's basically what we do.
Okay.
What are some things that you would encounter on a typical day? If we would go a day in the life of Officer Lev Usita, what would we stumble across?
I mean, it's not that crazy. I mean, our calls are not as bad as what you see on TV. We'll get a call like the other day I was at work, and we get a call that somebody lost their ID card to get on base.
Okay.
And so we have to go write reports why they lost their ID so she can get a new one. We have people that we like get locked out of their car, so they have to call tow companies or lockout guys that would come on base, and so we have to escort them on base. I mean, it's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's police work. I mean, it's just
Right. Sure.
But
yeah.
nothing happens nothing crazy has happened yet since I've been there, so I can't
Praise
say.
the Lord. Good.
You know, but
Yeah. So you carry, when you're on duty and off duty. Like, what's your weapon of choice?
I'm a SIG guy.
Okay.
When I was with the national park, their gun of choice was a SIG, and SIG has no safety. So I that's what I trained with. That's what I know. The military, they had Berettas, and it was kind of used to Beretta because they have safeties on Berettas. I have, but now they went to a SIG, but it has a safety on it just the same. I think it's just not a preference, just what I'm used to. I've shot other guns before, but I carry a SIG.
So Sig Sauer would be the full
Sig
name,
Sauer,
right?
yeah.
And what caliber?
So I have a 226 at home. It's a bigger gun. It's harder to conceal. I have a 365 right now, micro, smaller gun. I mean, I'm a small guy. I gotta kind of hide it as much as I can without being like, "Oh, you got a gun on you."
Right. In Florida, yeah, it's concealed carry state.
Although now that you don't need a concealed carry license, so you don't.
That's
know
what I heard. Yeah.
Who's carrying? Anyone could carry.
Right. Indiana's open carry, where we were. For I was there 16 years. Of course, Andrew's a Hoosier-born young man.
Yeah.
But it was open carry, and I was the business manager of the rescue mission.
Okay.
Inner city Indianapolis, and I would take the deposit
Okay.
every Friday
Got
to the
it.
bank. Yeah, so I'm carrying a significant amount of money, and so I'm strapping, and it's open carry. Like if you're gonna try to mess with me, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
ready. You know, and so it sends a message. It's a deterrent, and I had to get used to in Florida, conceal carry. What was it like in Hawaii? Did you have
So Hawaii has no gun. I mean, they have gun laws up, but they don't have no concealed carry. You can't just as a civilian, you can't apply for a concealed carry permit. Only for law enforcement on the state of Hawaii. As a national park employee, I had credentials for concealed carry, so I carried all the time. But still, it was nobody. I mean, they carried guns, but it wasn't legal.
Yeah.
But they were there, So
How often do you go to a shooting range and just practice your skill?
since I've had kids and since price of ammo went up, and
right.
you go to the range, $50, you're done with the box.
Right.
So not very often. I mean, I do have this bullet that has a laser pointer on it, and I got a little app where you can practice. I mean, it's not the same.
Right.
But for work, we shoot twice a year. We're going to shoot next month to get our quals to make sure that you're still qualifying the gun that we carry. But other than that, not as much as I want to.
Yeah. Does Charity shoot at all?
I took her shooting once.
Okay.
It's just so that she knows how the gun feels, because I'm going to have the gun in the house. I wanted her to know that this is, just teach her the basics. This is the trigger. I don't have a safety. This is how you rack it, how you unload it, and just, point and shoot, just be able to handle the gun.
Now, they say females are more naturally a better shot than males. Was that true with Charity?
Probably. I mean,
That's the way it is with Brittany.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've taken her a couple times, and I've been shooting guns since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And she's still better than me just naturally with aim and all that. With Charity, did Charity do well, or what do you think?
I don't remember. It was a long time. I have pictures, but I don't remember.
The reason I remember is because Britain talks trash after.
Oh, she does.
She drills it into
Don't
me.
let him forget.
Yeah. Exactly.
I took Case in once. We went to Washington. He was 3-4 years old, and we were shooting. My brother had a .22, and he wanted to shoot. Put headphones on the little guy, and I held the gun, and his finger enough. He pushed the trigger, and he was, I want to do it again, Daddy. He was so excited because I have the guns at home, and so I want him to know, like, if he sees it, you don't play with the gun.
Right.
It's not a toy, so he's got his own toy gun running around.
Sure.
I was like, weapon safety. Don't put your finger on the trigger if you're gonna shoot. Don't point it at anything. Don't point it at your sister. Don't point it at your mom. Just weapon safety, so he knows that guns are not
That's so
toys.
important. Yeah.
Because you hear all the stories about these people leaving guns like in the car or in the bag, and the little kid takes it and shoots the mom at the grocery store.
It's like crazy.
I mean, like the kid's like 2 years old, and pick the gun, and
Yeah.
like your trigger pull is not. You don't need that much pressure on it. So if my 3-year-old kid could do it, can you imagine? Like,
Yeah.
so.
Scary.
Let me
Yeah.
ask you this: being a gun owner, and a police officer, like every day it's getting closer. It feels like in America to heavier gun restriction laws. And maybe one day them taking our guns away.
Oh, I mean,
And so, like, what are your thoughts on that?
I didn't carry a gun or own a gun till I was law enforcement. So like there are days I won't bring it, and I'm okay with that. Old school where you just had a knife or you just fought with your hands. But other than that, it's they're gonna try to take it. The guns are still gonna be there. You're gonna get it one way or another. For our work, I can't even take my personal gun on base. That's just the base rule. No guns are allowed. They had come out with a new rule where if you sign with the base, you register your gun, you can bring your personal gun on base. But other than that, we're not allowed to bring our gun. So from home to work, that 30-minute drive, it's like I don't have anything but my pocket knife. And so it's kind of like one of those. I have it just in case I need it, but also there are times when you don't have it. Like you can't bring it into hospitals or schools. But it's kind of like you know how to use it. You know how to defend yourself without it. Pick up a chair or
Right.
a mic stand, whatever you need. But
In your military experience, have you had any, or police training? Have you had any like hand-to-hand combat training?
I've had training on it, but I've never had to actually go hands-on with anybody. They teach you how to in school. I've done police academy for the national park, and I also went to Flat Sea in Georgia, and we did it was a 4-month course, so like a whole month it was just hand-to-hand combat, ground fighting, and like how to keep your weapon safe if someone tried to grab your weapon. And so we do a lot of, it's just muscle memory and training.
Yeah.
Like I keep my gun on one side, all the other things like my non-lethal, my handcuffs, my baton, everything on one side. So I won't get confused where like, my right arm is my gun, everything else is my non-lethal. So it's, it's all practice and training, but I've never actually gone hands-on with anybody.
Yeah.
So
Good. Yeah, and you hope you don't have to.
I hope I don't have to.
Yeah, right.
But
what about so when you're doing the ground training, is it Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu type of stuff?
it's
rolling, guys.
It's rolling. It's wrestling. It's more of a trying to like. I guess you'd be more jiu-jitsu, like karate. Like Cason's doing jiu-jitsu right now.
Is
like,
it cool?
Actually,
Good for him.
Like right the building next door.
Oh yeah. I've been over there a
the
few
ice cream
times.
parlor, yeah, and so like karate is more of like when you're fighting standing, but jiu-jitsu is more like where you're actually on the ground.
Yeah.
So you're doing more of your like pinning the person down, trying to get them off. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much. I mean, we have our annual training, but it's just more of our holds or moves. Other than that, I don't have any other formal training but that.
Yeah. So what do you do to stay in shape? You look like you're in good shape, and as an officer, you got to keep it together, right? So what's your regiment?
So 2004, when I came back from Iraq, I found working out as a stress relief.
Yeah.
So, and I would work out when I can. When I was in Hawaii, I would, I miss the mountains. They don't have mountains here. Like every weekend we would go hike a mountain or something like that. Nowadays, it's kind of hard to go to the gym working out when with the kids. I work at 4, I wake up at 3:30. I come home at 6:45, we eat dinner, and it's time to go to bed. So on the days when I'm off, I try to go to work out when the kids are still asleep, and then I'll come back when they're awake. I hate running. I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah,
I
do too.
We have to. We do our fitness tests every year to make sure that you're still in shape. But I think I run and I work out not for work, but for my 3 kids at the house. Because
there you go.
If you've seen Kason likes to run and he's fast.
He's got that energy.
Oh, his energy. He needs to wear this energy. Like I'll be running after him. I'd be like, "Hey, you need to slow down." And I don't want to show him that I'm winded, but just I try to work out as much as I can. I'll do weights, and then once it gets cooler, we'll walk around the neighborhood. We haven't done it yet because it's been hot.
Oh right, yeah. It's starting to get cool now. I think today is 70 degrees, right, Andrew? Yeah. 70 degrees and sunny in Pensacola today.
Yeah, it was awesome. I walked out of the dorm this morning at like 7:50. It was 68 degrees and sunny.
Nice.
I'm like, I could get used to this right here.
It's coming.
Yeah,
so.
right. It'll be good.
But yeah, I try to just stay in shape. Like I said, more for the kids than the job. But if it needed to, I'll run after somebody if I had to.
Right.
Okay, so you're a military police officer.
Yes.
And we've had other police officers on the podcast before. So let me ask you this question. Is there like some sort of hierarchy of police officers? Like you're a military police officer, then maybe a state police officer, local, and then maybe somewhere down the line a mall cop or something? Is there any sort of...
It's all different. I mean, I guess it's all like... I guess so. For, let's say, Pensacola, you've got your city police and you've got your Escambia sheriffs. And each county has their own police and sheriff. Military is just military in itself. I don't think it's... One is federal, one is state. Mm-hmm. So we can't enforce state laws. I'm not going to go out, with my... Hey, I'm a cop, slow down. I'm not going to do that. So it's kind of like we all have our zone that you can say that we play on. And, if need be, if they need us to help them, we'll help them out. But we're not going to be like, hey,
Yeah, right, yeah.
So it's kind of like...
You're all on the same team in general.
Yeah, you're on the same team. It's just different jobs, different places. And like I said, our jurisdiction's only on base. Mm-hmm. And so Scambia would have outside the base, and then you've got Pensacola PD, so it all depends.
Is a mall cop even a police officer?
They're more security guards.
Okay.
I don't know. I've never met a mall cop. I mean, I think they're more security guards that they can fine you from not coming on the mall, but other than that, I think they're just security guards. I don't think they're, I know you here in the state of Florida, if you become a security guard, you have to do classes for security guard. You have to get your guard certificate. Mm-hmm. But I don't think they're police academy.
They probably have to get training on those little vehicles they cruise around the mall in.
Oh, the Segways?
Segways, yeah. That's where the training is.
I'd fall.
Aren't you jealous of their Segways?
Oh, I wish I had one.
yeah, they're pretty cool, yeah. Brother, when did you get saved? Growing up as an MK, a PK, you probably got saved at an early age, I would guess. Would you share your salvation testimony?
So when I was, obviously growing up as a preacher's kid, I was in church. Wednesday night we were in church, Sunday morning for Sunday school, Sunday night we were in church, Saturday we had visitations, Saturday night we had choir practice. Fridays we'd have Bible study, and throughout the week we would go to people's houses. And so you grew up in a Christian home. You know, I think I would say when I was 7, my mom was talking to me one day, and that was the first time that I had, I guess you could say, I asked the Lord into my heart. But growing up as a kid in Hawaii and being a missionary kid, it's like in a Christian home, you don't see any wrong. Like my parents didn't drink, they didn't smoke, they didn't swear, they didn't steal. So when I go to school, I would see the kids that were there and they did that kind of stuff, and I was like, "What are you doing? That's not right." Because I knew that those things were wrong. And so growing up, it was like being like saw my friends, they were doing that. Even up until high school, you know, they were doing that. How come I can't do that what they were doing? And so at one point I was rebellious against my parents, because, you know, being the second child, it was like, how come you can't be like your older brother? I don't know if they say that to you or not, but
I've never heard that. No, I'm just kidding.
but it was like, you know, it was like I felt like, you know, they were always picking on me. So like I was like, you know what, I'm going to do my own thing. And I started just being rebellious against my parents, you know, and doing opposite of what they wanted me to do, until I kind of got in trouble when I graduated high school. My mom's like, you need to, I don't care what college you go to, you're going to go to that college. You're not going to be here in Hawaii, because your friends are not, they're not guiding you in the right direction. So I went to college in San Diego. Like I said, I went to Christian Heritage College. And then there, when you're surrounded by godly people that love the Lord, that want to share, I had teachers, I had students, and they, it kind of reminded me of what a Christian was like. And I knew in my heart, you know, I was there, but I wasn't, because I still wanted to be like my friends, because, you know, being a Christian wasn't cool. They always made fun of me. But once I went to college, I saw that, and there was a change in my heart, and I just knew that my life that I was living wasn't right. So I rededicated my life when I was in college. That was 1995. Yeah, 1995. I'm old, I know. But it was a turning point in life where, you know, my parents raised me right, and I knew right from wrong, but it was just my desire to do wrong. Yeah. And until I really prayed and asked the Lord to be like, you need to take this feeling away. Yeah. I'm not doing what I should, you know, and it just didn't feel right, you know.
So you feel like you rededicated your life at that point?
I did.
I like how you use the word turning point. Now, isn't David Jeremiah associated with the college?
He is.
And isn't his ministry called Turning Point?
Yes,
I like that.
Yes,
okay, that's cool. Well, that's a wonderful testimony. Brother, I was noticing your wedding ring. How long have you and Charity been married?
So we've been married 2018, 6 years.
Okay. And is that the ring she got you 6 years ago?
Well, actually, this is the second one. The ring that she actually got me. For some reason, I don't know, we got one. I got a ring, and I guess my fingers swelled up. Or I don't know. So I had to get a bigger ring. So this is the second ring. It's just like the first one. Okay. I still have the first one at home. Okay, but yes, this is I didn't need to buy it. I didn't need a fancy ring. This is like maybe $20.
So she got it for you, but did you have influence over which ring and stuff?
Well,
because that's a very masculine ring. Like, I think that's a good one right there. It looks sharp.
I actually wanted there's a blue line. You can't see it, but there's a blue line in the silver. So, like, you know, police.
Yeah, we got the Blue Lives Matter flag right here. Yeah,
that's cool. What I kind of wanted, and she goes, "Oh, that's nice. I like that." So she got it for me.
That's cool.
That's cool. So we talked about your salvation, you know, testimony and sanctification journey. So, like, talk to us about how that. How your salvation and sanctification, how that plays into your profession as a police officer.
It's a big deal, because you know, it's one of it. It's your outlook in life, or how you treat others. Christ wants you to be to love others and be kind to others. As a police officer, you look at it like you commit a crime. I'm not just going to come up to you and be like, "Why did you do that?" and point my finger or yell at you. You know, you should have compassion and be like, "Hey, what's going on?" You know. Did you mean to run the stop sign? Did you mean to speed? You know, you have more of a compassion towards others, and you're not so judgmental. And it keeps you grounded and not so like out there like mad all the time. Like, you know, oh, you're breaking the law. But as being a Christian as law enforcement, it teaches you to have compassion. It teaches you how to treat others well. Also, like, just not swearing, not drinking, not smoking like how everybody else, they see a difference in you. Like, oh, what's wrong with you? It's like, oh, I go to church. Oh, that's what's wrong with you. And a guy that I told him I went to church, and he was like, oh, that's why you don't swear. He goes, and then he'll start to say some inappropriate joke. He goes, oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. You go to church.
Okay, see, he's showing you respect.
So he shows respect.
Good.
There's a guy, I'm a field training officer right now.
Okay.
And I am training he's a military police. I'm training him how to be a police on our base. And he's devout Catholic. And one day we just came up and he's like, man, this lady at our work, she has these little cups on her door with candy. And so we'll take candy. And one day she had those little mints that had verses on it. And so my guy picked it up and he read it. He goes, oh, I like this verse. And so I kind of used that as like, hey, what does that verse say? Let's read it again. Let's talk about what does that mean to you? And so through that, we started a conversation about religion. And he goes, oh, yeah, I want to get closer to God. I want to live a right life. And so I've been trying to witness to him throughout my FTO program and trying to he's Catholic. Like I said, he's Catholic. He reads the Bible, their Catholic Bible. I don't know how close it is to the King James Version or not, but I was like, you should read the Book of John.
Yeah, there you go. Amen. Yeah.
And I told him, and I read the Proverbs a day.
Yeah.
So on the way to work, I'll listen to it, And so after those mints, he would be like, hey, man, what's the verse of the day? So like we'd go, oh, whatever verse I read in Proverbs, I'd be like, hey, brother, this is the verse of the day.
There you go.
We'll talk about it. But I know he's open, and I know he is receptive to the word. And like when I talk to him about it, he's not like argumentative about it. Like, oh yeah, Catholics, we believe in, we worship Mary, not so much Jesus, But it's good. It's for me, I guess it's a good way. You're stuck with me for 13 hours. I'm
sure you got a lot of opportunities.
So it's been great. I mean, it's kept me, and plus it also keeps me in check. Watch what I say, watch what I do, because now that I know he's watching, my friends are watching,
right?
And then they know. So, yeah, it's
that accountability too.
It is accountability, yes.
Yeah, I think it's great that you're recommending him reading the Book of John, the Gospel of John, especially John 3. Like when I'm trying to witness to Catholic people, I'm going to Nicodemus, the religious man.
Yes.
And yet he needs to be born again. So I think that's great. That's a great recommendation that you're giving him. So your wife Charity is an educator.
Yes, she is.
Would you talk to us a little bit about your philosophy of education for your own children?
Oh man, that's Charity's department. That's not me. I mean, currently we're homeschooling Kaysen. We decided when we had Charity was a 6th grade teacher at Trinitas, and when we took Kaysen, Kaysen was born. We decided for Charity to stay home so she can raise our children. We try to teach our kids to love the truth and to know truth and to love beauty and to see anything. We're kind of in the books that we read, we read stories, but we read stories that have like a hero and a villain, so we can talk about like good and evil. Don't read. I mean, we have, I guess, for fun books like cartoon books, like Minnie Mouse and stuff like that. But the books we read that has a purpose, to see God's beauty in everything. We want to teach our kids to do all things to the glory of God. So if it's in math, if it's science, if it's in reading, or even just Kaysen trying to color in the lines of his coloring book. Like I said, that's more Charity than me,
Sure, yeah.
Sorry. But we try to teach our kids to...
Sounds like you're doing a lot of the right things. Yeah. Trying to instill in them those things. Yeah.
And I know Kaysen, and he's a dog. I love Kaysen.
Yeah, right.
He's my favorite.
He is.
Yeah, he's a good boy. So, the idea of a hero and a villain in a story, like I think that's so important to teach the kids the difference between good and evil.
Yes.
Especially in the day in which we live. Andrew and I were just talking about this. We feel like as much as ever, or maybe more than ever, we're in an Isaiah 5:20 kind of setting in our culture where they're conflating good and evil.
Yeah.
So it's like we want to raise our kids to really understand the difference between righteousness and unrighteousness.
100%. I think that's a fantastic answer, because like what they're doing by learning some of these stories and being able to see this person's good, this person's evil, is being able to like foundationally process, wait, I'm seeing this in the world, that's good, that's evil, and calling that stuff out I think is super important. So being a police officer, do you have any wild stories for us? Some of the crazier experiences you've had?
I don't have anything wild and crazy. I mean, I know I've had my fair share of like, you know, like for instance, when I was in the national park, I was standing behind the glass overlooking the front entrance, and somebody had left their glasses. And this one guy had walked through, and he was like, I watched him. He just picked it up and put it on. And then we went in and we asked, hey man, why'd you steal the glasses? Like, oh, I left mine in the car. I just needed it, so I just picked it up. So it was like, you know, and like and he was like, honest, because I'm sorry, I was just honest. I just needed glasses, so I picked them up. Like we pull somebody over, and they're like, you know why I pulled you over? I was speeding. I'm sorry, I was late. You know, they were always, you know, they knew what they you know, they did wrong, and they knew what they acceptable of it, but they weren't like making up stories like, oh, you know, but nothing crazy. I know when I was at the national park, we did certain things. Like you asked me earlier if I've ever seen a dead body.
Yeah.
I was at the national park so I worked in the national park in Oahu, the Arizona Memorial. There is one story. There was so it's a one of the top 10 tourist attractions in Oahu. So they do helicopter tours around that fly over the Arizona Memorial. So at that point, I was still a security guard, but I was on bike. I was doing bike patrol. Then all of a sudden, that guy on the radio goes, "Hey man, the helicopter fell in the water." What? I was like, "What?" So one of the tour helicopters, like I guess it lost its power, and it was trying to land on it was literally from here to the door, and they were almost there, but it just landed in the water. There were 4 people and the pilot. So by the time I got on the scene, the mother had already come out, and she's like, my baby. And they had probably been underwater for like 5 minutes. Everybody jumped in, and they're trying to, I guess the kid had put the seat belt, the harness, he had twisted it so it didn't come unbuckled, and they were trying to cut it. Like, hey, give me a pocket knife. I'd throw a pocket knife, and they'd go down. Give me another one. It was hard to come out. He came out eventually, but he was already gone after that point, you know, but that it is what it was, you know. But other than that, that's
stuff you got to respond to.
Yeah. That's the call.
Right. What do you think what are some differences law enforcement today versus law enforcement 20 years ago? What are things you're seeing?
It's just the world in general is different. Laws have changed. People's views have changed. Back in the day when police started, the police were created to protect the people. I mean, police still protect the people now, but like in recent history where you'd have like these negative, you know, incidents that happen with police officers, people are more like, oh, I hate police, let's defund the police. Yeah. You know, it's like they kind of don't trust you anymore. You know, like I said, I'm military police, and I'll be driving my vehicle from base to our outlying field, and they'll see me and they'll like give me dirty looks. Like all they see is a police vehicle. They don't see that I'm Navy police. What's big sign that says U.S. Navy Police, but they just see a police officer, and you get dirty looks. You know, people are making weird hand gestures to you. You know, and they just no respect for police officers anymore. I mean, I'm not saying all police officers are like. That's just how it is. That certain things just happen that people just take to it, and they're like, oh, we don't like you anymore. So I just feel like I don't know, at one point people were proud to be police officers, and like they'll have the flags, the stickers on their car. Now it's like at some point people are like, oh, I don't want people to know I'm a police officer, you know, or like their fear of, you know, someone's going to retaliate, or they're going to like come to their house and like.
Yeah, I was raised to wave at officers when I was a little boy, you know, because they're heroes and you show them deference, and we need that back in America.
Yeah, now things are different.
Yeah, like what you're explaining, I think is just another one of those effects of sin. Like we see a bunch of flaming, you know, sin out there, and then just hating authority is another one of those sins that is increasing and growing. And no surprise that the authorities, the police officers, you know, and they're trying to hate on the authority that's, you know, over them, God-ordained authority that's over
that's
them.
True.
So
now, you know, we ask all the officers that we've interviewed this question about donuts, because that's the stereotype, you know, is police officers love them donuts. Are you a donut guy? And
I am.
What kind of donut do you like the best?
My go-to donut would be a Boston cream.
Oh, okay, that's good stuff. Yeah.
Just growing up before church, we'd go to a bakery and we'd get, you know, our donuts in the morning. And I always got a Boston cream. I don't know why. I do love a glazed donut, don't get me wrong. But I would go over to Boston cream before a glazed donut.
Yeah.
So have you been to the Milton Bakery yet up there?
I have.
Okay.
So
is that the best one in your opinion? Best donut place?
they're better than Krispy Kreme. They are.
Yeah.
And so my trainee, you know, like we joke around, like, hey, if you messed up, you answered the question wrong, I'm gonna put a tick mark, and that's a donut. And when you get 12 things wrong, you're buying a box of donuts. So like he was up to, I think he brought 2 boxes of donuts one day.
Oh, wow.
You know, because, and it's just little things like we're joking, like, hey, did you get the answer right? Oh, that's 1 donut. Did you go down and relieve the guys for lunch? That's 1 donut. You know, and
That's
but
fun.
I like Milton Bakery. I mean, the prices have gone up since they had reopened. You know, that hurricane. Now it's like $15 for a box of just glazed donuts. Imagine, you know.
Biden economy. Everything comes back to the Biden economy.
Yeah,
Everything does.
It is what I didn't want to say it.
Let me ask you this. So you're from Hawaii.
Yes.
Like that would be a place where everybody wants to go for vacation. So where do you, like you're from Hawaii, would you want to go back to Hawaii for vacation or where would you want to go?
I wouldn't go back to Hawaii for vacation. It's just like it's home.
Yeah.
You know, I'd go to visit. But like when me and Charity got married, we went to Boston for a honeymoon. You know, you said, Boston, how come you didn't go to a beach? I was like, we met in Hawaii. There was, you know,
Yeah.
it's tropical island. I met her on a tropical island, you know, so it was like more of a, I just wanted to go to places like historic places, you know. Like I was stationed in Virginia. I went to Jamestown. I went to Williamsburg.
Neat.
You know, this coming May, my sister's husband is in the Air Force and he's stationed in Germany. And so he's going to retire. My nephew's going to graduate high school. And so we're all going to go out there for his graduation. And when we're there, we're going to hit we drive down to Spain, Paris, you know,
Nice.
Venice, you know, just sightseeing places that, you know, you just read in books and that you see like you've always wanted to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
That's cool.
on my family group text, my sister would text, hey, we're just going to drive to Paris to get some beignets and stuff. I was like, or what, you know, whatever she's getting. I was like, you make it sound like as if it's just next door. She goes, oh yeah, it's just 4 hours. I mean, here you got to fly over, you know, but yeah, I think it'd more go to places where you've never been,
Yeah.
you know, not so much a beach. The beach is all the same,
Some
you know,
historic places.
historic places, you know.
That's cool. I was going to ask you too. So you mentioned the difference between Pounders and the new Hawaiian place that's real
Yes.
close to the church here. Okay, so
I knew we were going to circle back to Pounders
Hey.
somehow.
well, here's
We
the
were gonna
thing,
get back
because
there.
like Andrew and I went once
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the new place, try to give it opportunity, but maybe I ordered the wrong thing because we didn't have the best experience. So like, what would you say is the most like authentically Hawaiian thing that we should order over there so we have a real good
At
experience?
Pounders?
No, at this place right here at the strip mall.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
the new
they have this thing called a mixed plate. It's got chicken katsu, it's breaded chicken. You have Korean barbecue, and you've got teriyaki beef
place. Okay.
over rice and macaroni salad. That's a little bit of flavor of each. I mean, you can you can get that. They have this thing called a loco moco.
Okay.
Have you heard of it? So basically, it's a bed of rice. You take a sunny side egg, a hamburger patty, and you pour gravy on top.
Oh, sounds great.
wow.
That's a good thing to get to. That's authentic. So
Interesting
Okay.
combo.
yeah,
Yeah. All
So
right. Next time we go, I'm doing that.
get a little bit of both so you can taste it. You tell me what you think.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. So, any restaurant in the Pensacola area, where would you go? Would that be it for you, or what's the best place around here to go?
For me, yes. I mean, but it also depends. Like depends on what Charity wants to eat. You know, if you want to do something like fancy,
That's
you
a
know,
wise husband.
You know.
See what she wants to eat.
we'll
Yeah.
do like Grand Marlin for like birthdays or George's
Oh, that's
Bistro.
fun. Yeah.
If we just want like prime rib, like Jackson's in downtown, Jackson Steakhouse. If you've been,
Oh, yeah.
Mondays
I've been
they
there.
do
That's expensive.
like $20 lobsters on Monday, $20 prime ribs on Tuesday. If it's Mexican food, there is I went to school in California, so California style Mexican food is different from Tex-Mex, and then people are going to argue. Now I don't want to start trouble. I don't want to argue like say which is better, but down the street. From the Publix parking lot, same shopping center, there's a little food truck out right across the street from it. It's called
Yeah.
Taqueria's Ogies.
Okay.
So they're
Yeah,
more
I've seen
California style burritos.
Okay.
They have carne asada fries, you know, which is what you find in a burrito over French fries. They have roll tacos. The carne asada burritos are like literally that long, that big.
Yeah. When you had our family over, when you had Brittany and I over to your house, your wife made tacos.
Yes,
That's
yes.
amazing.
That's Kason's favorite. Taco Tuesdays.
Love it.
We already know.
That was fun. Yeah.
But yeah, it really depends on even with the kids and what they want. Like, I grew up eating McDonald's chicken nuggets.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
so they grew up eating, like Charity grew up eating Chick-fil-A.
Oh,
And she
yeah.
goes, where do you want to get your nuggets? I go, McDonald's. He goes, oh, that's gross. But that's what I do. That's what I do growing up. You know, there's nothing against Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A nuggets are great, but like I just grew up eating McDonald's chicken nuggets.
I think to tie everything back in, I think McDonald's nuggets, the reason you like them so much, they probably are Spam instead of chicken. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows what's in that.
I've seen the videos of that thing
Yeah.
that comes out and it's pink and it comes out nuggets. I don't know.
There's got to be a touch of Spam in there or
Probably,
something. I don't
probably
know.
there is, but
Yeah.
it really depends on
Yeah.
what you want to eat, you know. So
Right. What about your life verse? Do you have one verse in Scripture that's guided you throughout your life?
besides, I mean, the Bible is filled with them, but I would say Psalms 51, 10 to 12.
Oh, amen.
Created me a clean heart, O God,
Yeah.
and renew a right spirit with me. Cast me not away from thy presence. Take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation, and uphold me with thy free spirit.
Yeah. Amen.
I think that's one of the verses I think about all the time. It's just, I would hate that feeling, knowing that, like, if the Holy Spirit left, or if, you know, it's just, your lifestyle is totally different. Mm-hmm. You know, and just not the fear that you would lose your salvation,
Right.
but it was just more of like, you just always want to be constantly
Yeah.
in that fellowship with God.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, like you say, you don't lose your salvation, but you lose the joy of your
joy,
salvation.
yes.
If there's sin in your life, and that's why David prayed that.
That's a good life verse. I don't know if I've heard that one before.
Yeah, it's a great
like it.
answer. Great
like it.
answer.
yeah, people make songs about it. Like, there's a song that
Yeah.
you know, they sang about it. This is one of those that I stick to with the many verses that are in the Bible. It's one of my favorite.
Amen.
Lev, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
It's a pleasure.
Today. I have a lot of respect for how the Lord's using you in law enforcement, and it's Romans 13 that talks about law enforcement officials are ministers of God, and so I just appreciate the way you minister and take care of us Americans.
Thank you,
know?
Pastor.
So thank you for being our guest. Thank you, Andrew. You always do a great
Hey,
job.
anytime.
And thank you who have been watching this Strength for Life podcast. If there are ways that I can serve you as a pastor, I'm definitely interested in doing that. You can email me directly at pastor@northstonebaptist.org. Okay. So again, please let me know if there are ways that we can serve you. And thank you so much for joining us today on Strength for Life.